All right, welcome on back, everyone, to another episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe. We drop new videos every single day. Today, we're going to take a look at Land O'Lakes 269 out of Michigan. Council was originally formed in 1937 as a name change from Jackson Area 269 and existed up until 1993 when it merged with the Wolverine Council to form Land O'Lakes Wolverine. So they have two issues, or two variations of the first issue from Land O'Lakes. First up here on the patch table, we've got the S1A with our dark green border, light blue sky, gold type 1 fleur-de-lis. We can see it's all vertically stitched. Gold letters for Michigan and Land O'Lakes Council, and the state would measure 35 millimeters across. Really nice scene of canoeing up in the lakes of Michigan. The two deciding characteristics when comparing the S1A to the S1B are going to be the fleur-de-lis, and in my opinion, just the stitching in general, but the sun rays specifically really stand out to me. Here we could see these are done with longer sewn thread segments, and it's going to be decidedly different. But you can see that the stitching on the second is just going to be a little bit tighter. The definition on the person in the canoe will be a little bit better, etc. Taking a look at the back, we've got a standard plastic back here on the S1A. So there we have the first issue for Land O'Lakes. And we'll take a look at the second variant, the S1B. Again, very, very similar, just with a little bit tighter stitching. So again, we have got the dark green border, light blue sky. Now we've got a type 2 fleur-de-lis, which is very evident. Letters are still gold in color. If we were to measure across, we're going to find the state's name is 40 millimeters now. Again, the fleur-de-lis itself is usually enough to be able to decide which of the two you're looking at, the S1A or the S1B. Again, you'll also see, as I said, definition of the person in the canoe, just a little bit better sewn. And here we'll see the sun rays are a bunch of little segments as opposed to the longer rays. Again, it sticks out to me when looking at the two patches, is the fleur-de-lis and these sun rays being such a different style of being sewn. Also a plastic back here on the S1B. And we'll get these two up side by side just so you can see the differences in the definitions. I would say the borders are slightly different, dark greens, the darkest being on the S1A. This is a little bit lighter dark green. Again, you can see just a little note of difference in the font. The font here on the S1A looks a bit bolder. This looks a little thinner. We can see definite distinction when looking at the fleur-de-lis. We kind of had this type 1 very fat fleur-de-lis where everything is vertically sewn, and then obviously we have the varying directions here in the type 2 fleur-de-lis on the S1B. And there again, looking at the difference in the way the sun rays are stitched here with the longer threads and here with the very tiny segments. And again, looking at the definition difference. And this is, I point out the person in the canoe, but across both of the patches, you can kind of see the difference in sew style distinction. And the second just looks a little bit tighter as far as how it's produced. I would say the greens here look a little different in shade, but probably not just looking at those would be something you'd be able to tell. Kind of the other characteristics end up being a little bit more definitive. But that is the first issue, S1A and B, for Land O'Lakes 269. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and like and share it with others. And we'll be back here again tomorrow with another episode. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.